Yes. Sandeep, can you bring up the slides?
Sandeep?
In a minute. Pragna, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, all charter members, and hope everyone is fine. And thank you for joining today's TNT session on Is Bitcoin Worth Buying? A first interactive discussion on debate format moderated by Suresh Raju sir and Ashok Atluri sir. And welcome Suresh sir and Ashok sir.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for the welcome.
Suresh sir is a founder and partner at Jupiter Alternative Investment Funds, and he has a vast experience in financial services industry, and he's currently managing a Securities and Exchange Board of India, a CBI registered capital fund that invest in IPOs and alpha gems at hedge trade. His experience is across hedge funds, private equity, and investment banking areas. And his areas of interest include reading, poker, rummy, traveling, and also the golf. And thank you once again, Suresh sir, for taking up this topic. And over to you, Suresh sir.
Thank you, Pragna. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the TNT session this Thursday. And really thanks to Ashok for joining us, and we're kind of having an interactive discussion on the very interesting topic, a lot of press on it. So look forward to a great conversation. Welcome Ashok, and thank you for the time. Just as a brief introduction of Ashok, I would like to say that, start with the last point here, voracious reader with eclectic taste from Buddhism, management, technology, defense technologies, money and Bitcoin, political systems, and education. Very interesting, wide spectrum of interest here. Look forward to a great conversation. Ashok is the chairman and managing director of Zen Technologies, a publicly listed company in India. And his passion is to indigenize the training simulation technologies and the new area of anti-drone systems for Indian defense and police forces. So very advanced technology, and his mission is to make the Indian defense self-reliant, right? How do we, in a short period of time, how do we encourage and innovate and generate entrepreneurs in the whole space of defense? So thank you, Ashok, for leading this whole effort. I think it's a great mission and vision that you have to lead in this direction. I think Indian defense is very thankful for you to, kind of lead this effort in this direction. With that, Ashok, I think the purpose of the TNT also is to kind of let our charter members understand each other, get to know each other a little better, right? And given your entrepreneurial journey, would love to kind of understand what are those 2 or 3 important events, transformational phases that you have gone through in your entrepreneurial journey, right? What do you think drove those? And if you could just talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and focus on those 2 or 3 key phases of transition, that'll be wonderful, Ashok.
Thanks, Suresh. Great to be here with you. And so, talking about, I mean, I really wish, when I read Harvard Business Studies, where they had a vision from the beginning, when they were in the mother's womb, they had a vision to become a billionaire. Unlike them, my thing was very, very, uninspiring in the sense that, how did we get into defense? We were in cantonment area in Secunderabad, and the army guys used to interact with us. We got into service. We used to do, odd services for them, building some software or some customized hardware. But given the fact that, I try to break down the world into dentist and author model. So dentist is the guy who makes money as long as he's doing the actual operation. But author, if he writes a book and, as long as people are buying, even in his sleep, he's making money. So I'm more of an author guy, because I'm very lazy. So, so when we told the army guys, listen, we don't want to do services, we want to get into products. And then at that point in time, they suggested, why don't you get into this, all this range replacement, because we don't have ranges now. If you can build a range substitute, a range simulator, that would be fantastic. that's how we got into a product mode, and we did that. And yeah, so after that, when we came to know, so a lot of people don't understand. One thing I see is that there is no focus. When even Mr. Modi launched this Make in India thing, so we were debating with them and saying, listen, Make in India is nothing. Please don't focus on the Make in India. Focus on design and develop. In fact, you can make it in China, because I always give the example of this, iPhone. The bill of materials is for $1,000 iPhone. Bill of materials is $245. The cost of manufacturing is $5, and maybe you make a $1 profit out of that. $1 versus $750. IP7. So we started focusing. Fortunately, I think the government now is moving towards that thing. So yeah. So this IP thing was something kind of thing that we should only focus on IP and not, mostly focus on IP and not manufacturing. So that's the big thing. And again, it was accident that I was in defense. And yeah. So another thing is, we wanted to get listed. We had this, I don't know, a crazy thing that in '93, Harshad the Mehta thing, when everybody was running after shares, and I was also running after shares, and I think, what the hell is this? I should be on the other side giving the shares. So I decided to list myself. So when the opportunity came, I did list myself. Yeah.
Wonderful. Congrats.
Yeah.
Great point, Ashok, on focus on design and research, right? That's the key, as you see this.
Absolutely. I think it's huge for India. I think if we could do that, we can pull that off. We would dominate every segment, not only defense, everything else.
Yeah, wonderful. So, given our focus today a little bit on Bitcoin, could I ask for your comments on what you think of as money, right? What does money mean to you? And also, given that we have a very cozy group of CMs today, love to have a wider participation. Please, everyone, feel free to jump in. I will let.
Sorry, Suresh, we lost you, but I'll continue here.
And other questions, and I don't hope people don't mind me just picking on a few people, and if I don't get enough hands, I'll just pick on a few people to get their feedback as well. Yeah.
So I want to do a quick poll kind of thing. Then I want to define money, and I want to see how many people agree and do not agree.
Yeah.
So if I say money is a currency issued by any sovereign government as legal tender. This is my definition of money. It's any currency issued by a sovereign government as legal tender. Would that be a correct definition of money? Yes or no? I just want quick replies on the chat. I'm not getting any agree. Good, guys. Everybody should participate, boss. Yes. One no. Murli is in trouble. Okay, next. Guys, everybody has to, I'm not, Suresh said that until and unless all the participants reply, don't proceed further.
And it'll be great actually today to switch on the videos. Maybe, we can see each other and talk through this. Yeah. Thanks, Sridhar, for switching on.
Yeah.
So what do you think? We'll ask our Pradeep Mittal, our past president. Pradeep, what does money mean to you?
Fine. It depends on what age are you asking that question, at my age. So anyway, welcome, Ashok.
Thanks.
Looking forward there. So I am okay. I said yes to your question, to the question that you asked. So I think Suresh Raju's question I will answer when I meet him personally, like what money means to me, okay? That's a more philosophical question than for me, it's like a real question and all right now.
Yeah. So maybe, Ashok, you want to elaborate a little bit on your thoughts on it, yeah?
So I really think that over a period of time, government has completely, created some kind of a matrix, and cheated us into believing that money is something that the government issues. So the reality of money, I would think, I very quickly want to go back. Money used to be, before we used to barter with each other. I would go and fish something. Somebody would make pots. Somebody would make, footwear. I would exchange my thing with them. And of course, money evolved over a period of time. There were stones, there were beads, all kind of things evolved. And finally, something like gold became the, standard at one point in time as money. So, but I want to understand so the definition of money we always talk about is, it's a standard definition. If we talk about medium of exchange, these are all characteristics of money. The medium of exchange, store of value, unit of account, these are all characteristics that money should have. But is that money? It's not money. So, what I think my definition of money is this. When I am giving my fish to and taking your footwear as exchange, I'm exchanging my effort with your effort. So what money is because now it is going to perish. I want to store it in a place where it does not perish and then exchange it later with something.
Yeah.
So my definition of money is effort. It's nothing else but money is effort. So I am exchanging my effort with someone else's effort. So, the longer definition is, money should be able to store my effort in a leak-proof manner across time and space. That's what my definition of money would be. Now, there is a problem with this effort. So when we say that I'm exchanging my effort with, so, even when you look at anything, the stones had to be actually chiseled and made into a round stone. Beads had to be taken. Seashells were actually rarer in the mainland than on the things. So all this needed some effort to create. Gold is at 50,000 rupees today. And you have to create 10 grams of gold and get it to the market takes that much of effort. So what is eventually what will happen to any money is the money that is in circulation will eventually equal to the cost of production. That is the rule.
Yeah.
Now what has happened is, when we talk about government issued fiat tender, what has happened is government takes two ways money from us. One we all know, that is taxes. The second, which is lesser known, is inflation. Inflation tax, they call it. The economists call it the inflation tax. But in the Bitcoin world, they think tax is referred to as extortion. Inflation is referred to as theft. So without your knowledge, theft without your knowledge. Yeah. Now, what do you mean by government inflation theft is this? Could anybody, again, to make it more interactive, could anybody guess what was the cost of gold, 1 gram gold in 1947? Very quickly, what would be the price? Would it be 1,000 rupees or what? Anything you can think.
1,000 rupees, 500.
500, okay, fine. I don't try to Google or anything, it's better, yeah. So anybody else would like to type in also is okay. $4 annas, okay. So somebody said, what did you say, dollar?
Yeah, 1 USD. I think it was equal to 1 USD.
So, but how much was 1 rupee? But in rupees, how much was it?
It was 1 rupee, same equal.
So just see. It is actually the correct answer. The correct answer is not 4 annas, it's 16 annas. 16 annas will be almost 1 rupee. So it was 1 rupee to $1 to 1 gram of gold. So what has happened? And by the way, remember that gold was a dominant currency for thousands of years as money. So what happened was that 1 gram of gold we could buy with 1 rupee. And you just imagine if your great grandparents gave to one cousin 10,000 rupees, the other guy 10 kilos of gold. So what has happened to 10 kilos of gold? 10 kilos of gold is worth about 5 crore rupees, and 10,000 is worth only 10,000 rupees. This 9 crores, 99 lakhs, 90,000 rupees, where did it go? So the answer to this is the government has taken that buying power from us. And the only way, so there are a lot of discussions on inflation. Though I don't want to go into this, but just imagine that there is this much of money and this much of goods and services. Then we have a 1:1 mapping. But what has happened over a time is while the goods and services remain same, the money supply has been inflating so much that their buying power has reduced a lot. So because of that, so what has happened by this inflating? So government keeps printing money whenever they have need and they think, because why do they keep printing money? Because they don't have any cost of production. There is almost zero. Yeah, if you want to talk about a 2,000 rupee note, maybe they spend 5 rupees or 6 rupees on that.
Yeah.
So worldwide, what has happened? I mean, where was most of the countries, whether it is Germany, it's Zimbabwe in recent times, Venezuela in recent times, they have all kept printing money. And what the result is that money has been stolen by the government from the people. And the most impacted are the poorest of the poor, because they can't store in land, they can't store in anything, any asset, gold or anything. They just keep the money and they just can't buy anything. So, yeah, okay, to cut this long story short, so money is effort, and the government, what the government is printing, they have taken seigniorage, they've taken the monopoly on that, and they can actually, steal money from you if you keep it in money format. So for me, money is effort stored. Government has, yes, they have taken it, and we should be little aware of that. So that's my. But if you have any questions, I'm open for that.
So Ashok, just as a point to that, right? With inflation and I guess the unlimited capacity to print the US dollar, are these the primary sources of angst to fight against? And that's what decentralized finance is, DeFi. And people are saying, why is one currency or one country doing this? Why are governments kind of regulating all this? Let's create something of a movement here. And it looks like a fight between the mass movement and the government's trying to hold on to it, right? Would that be a fair point?
Absolutely. So, I think it was in 2008 when the financial crisis hit, and not even one banker was convicted.
Yeah.
And government bailed them out. It was at that point that the legendary Satoshi Nakamoto said, enough is enough. And he said, we have to have our own money. Government cannot be trusted because they will just work for only few segments of the society. And he released this thing. And at that point in time, everybody laughed at it because it was laughable. How can you create money? Some software which has value. So it was never considered real. But he said it is never going to be inflated because there is a limited supply. And it will be just accepted between sovereign individuals, not sovereign governments. And no government will have control over this. So, and he said, this is the money that we are creating. And again, why? So a lot of people have objection to the electricity being burned. This is a small village, a small country, it is burning more than that. But the fact is, if there is no effort and no price to creating money, then the price becomes zero. So there has to be some cost to creating money, because otherwise, yeah.
And the couple of these high inflation countries talk about the advantages of Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a hyperinflation where inflation is 3% per day or 2% per day, how do you survive? And it's a great example that you talked about. Do you want to illustrate that? I'll share the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should flash that the Venezuela thing. This is so a lot of people bought Bitcoin just it's a fun thing kind of thing. But then they realized that, Bitcoin is actually saving lives, and this article in New York Times talks about a family, what happened when the Venezuelan Bolivar started losing value, the people, what did they do? There was no economic activity because they were a socialist country. They were killing an economic activity, and people who had money became worthless. So most of the families, the daughters of the families were sent across to Colombia for prostitution. The sons were going and stealing money because they had to feed their family, because they didn't have, all the money had lost value. All the bank, they had millions in the banks, but they couldn't buy anything with that. So, it's a devastating social thing to have inflation, so hyperinflation hit in an economy. So there are some guys who had access to Bitcoin. They went and bought Bitcoin, and all the families in Venezuela that bought Bitcoin were able to preserve their family, were able to educate their kids. They were able to, send them out of the country. So they were able to do that. So, for me, I think Bitcoin in that sense is a fantastic achievement. I mean, even if you are in a completely, a dictatorship kind of environment, you can't store gold or anything like that, because people will come and seize that away from you. But Bitcoin is something that's software, it's stored in the cloud, so you don't have to really worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk a little bit, Ashok, about other use cases, or do we take some questions about?
Yeah, no, I think I'm open for question. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
will be now really getting irritated with me. So let us see to give it.
So inflation, government functioning, control, obviously currency is the most important thing that the government is trying to protect and so on, right? So anyone questions? Otherwise, I'll randomly pick.
Suresh, I have a question.
Please hurry. Please go ahead.
What prohibits or why are governments not adapting? I know it started off, I think a country or two started the other day. What is the fear of the government? Why are they not adapting it?
No, government, they have monopoly over that. They don't want any country to adapt it. And El Salvador doesn't have its own currency. El Salvador adapted because US dollar is the currency that is used there. They don't have their country's currency. And when US, and what has been US has been stealing from the whole world. They've been exporting inflation by printing trillions of dollars. And this Bukele, the president of Singhai, said, listen, these guys are stealing from me and I can't float my own currency. Let me just adopt an alternative currency. It was a very strong measure. And he said, Bitcoin, I'm accepting as Bitcoin as a legal fiat tender in my country. So that's a huge thing, I think. But other countries which have their own currency, why would they want to give up their monopoly? In fact, government of India, in its whole short-sightedness, in 2014-15, they raided, they closed the exchanges, but still some people survived. But the fact was we would have had $200 to $250 billion of cryptocurrency at the minimum today, had they not acted foolishly at that point in time. And why? Because they knew that people would, if they keep inflating, how do I hedge my inflation? How do I stop the stealing by the government? The only way is to get into some cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. I mean, I'm not a fan of other currencies. Sorry. I mean, there are a lot of people who are thinking, why is he not talking with Ethereum and all that other things? But no, yeah. So governments don't want to let the monopoly go in. So they will never adopt. But countries that have US dollar will be first to adopt them. Yeah.
So Ashok, so why? What is the strategy of MicroStrategy? Why are they amassing bitcoins?
Because Michael Saylor is an absolute, we call, Bitcoin, Bitcoiners, Bitcoin enthusiasts. He's a Bitcoin terrorist, actually. I mean, he says that the only way, he's a complete believer in Bitcoin. And he thinks that he says, I cannot buy anything else but Bitcoin because that's the only thing which finance supply. And why would I hold my money in dollars, which is depreciating every day by printing? I would put something that is very limited, very difficult to replicate, and that has limited supply of 21 million coins. So he's really big time betting into it. I mean, it is surprising. He started at $9,000, and when he was buying at $9,000 the Bitcoin, he used to be anxious during the night that Bitcoin price may go up. But even at $62,000, he's buying Bitcoins with all. And not only that, initially he was just buying, he just put in the $300 or $400 million that was the cash on his balance sheet. But now he has borrowed something
Borrowing
like $2 billion.
money.
How much?
He's borrowing money, he's raising debt to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, something like $2+ billion he has raised to buy Bitcoin. I mean, he is the ultimate hero for Bitcoiners. That
Ashok, do you think he's trying to attract the Bitcoin investors to buy his equity stock and get inflated the equity?
I would. I mean, if I believed in the MicroStrategy business by itself, that would have given me a big. But I don't know what business they are. I mean, I tried to find out. They do something like Tableau kind of databasing kind of thing.
Data analytics.
But, yeah, data. So I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, I think it's a. If finally he wants to be a Bitcoin company, I think that's the way he is. He is super leveraged, but the leverage is very long term. So in the 8 years, 10 years kind of thing. So yeah.
Thank you. Any recommendation of new coins that we should buy?
Whenever you get an urge to buy, any alternate coin, my advice is this: go to a beach and sleep there on a nice relaxed towel, and wait for the urge to leave you, and then come back into the society. Okay.
Hari, one thing that people say is if you're trying to buy any of those, you need to have diamond hands. Diamond hands mean that you will never going to sell them again. If you have that money, only then you buy.
No, so because Hari has asked my advice, I would be very, very careful about any other coins, because one of the difference between Bitcoin and the other coins is there is a point of failure. If I want to close down XRP, I just have to bang somebody on the head, one guy. Maybe Ethereum has maybe more people like that. But just see the Bitcoin. People have said Bitcoin is dead about 420 times in news articles. Recently, 50% of its mining power was completely. I mean, just imagine 500 billion of market cap lost, and there's no bailout. That is just surviving. 50% of the mining power is gone. So it is really anti-fragile. I would say Bitcoin is the ultimate example of anti-fragile. But again, having said that, I'm not so sure about it. Maybe some alternate point will make a lot of sense. And if you're a friend of Elon Musk, go and ask him. He just has to say Dogecoin and those coins start going up. So, that's.
Ashok, I have a very fundamental.
Yeah, go ahead.
Very fundamental, maybe question. When you talked about the money earlier, government cheating the people like earlier and all, like ₹1, $1 gold. Who is going to control the Bitcoins? Control how much Bitcoin? Who is going to Bitcoins?
So sorry, Pradeep, am I the only guy not able to hear you? I don't know. Something wrong with my.
His question is, Ashok, he's saying that when we talked about the currency and money being controlled by the government, so how do you see the Bitcoin being controlled by whom, or is it possible to control it, or is it fully decentralized?
It is fully decentralized. I mean, there is a Bitcoin organization that updates the software, but very frankly, even if they don't update these things, we will keep running it. So
no, but can they increase the number of Bitcoins?
No way in the world can they increase.
No, but who's in charge of that?
It's a mathematical algorithm that's in.
No, that is mathematical, but tomorrow it can control anything and all, like, correct? Tomorrow, let's say the whole world moves to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Somebody
who's got the mathematical algorithm control, he can control that whole world.
Nobody can control the mathematical algorithm. It's already written. It has been running for the past 12 years. And if you want to increase from 21 million to 22 million, you just cannot do it. That is the thing. So if let us say, so you are saying some guy upgrades it to that.
But I'm asking you, but who's there to monitor that?
It is already embedded. This is mathematical software that is running in about hundreds of thousands of computers. The code is already running.
No, I understand that. I'm aware of that part of it very much and all, like. But whoever is built that algorithm, whoever is running this algorithm can always tweak the algorithm, correct? Later on.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody is running. It's not a cloud software that one guy can replace it. It cannot be replaced. So even let us say you get the access. And you say, listen, boss, I'm increasing from 21 million to 29 million or 30 million. You change the code. Nobody, the other hundreds of thousands will not upgrade their software to that. They'll say, okay, you do on your node, and that's called by fork. You go on your own way.
So Pradeep, it is on a blockchain technology, Pradeep.
No, I understand that.
So I mean, you need multiple people to authenticate it, right? I mean, it is not just one. It is not a ownership.
So can I ask a slightly related question, Ashok, picking up on what Pradeep said? So every 4 years, the number of coins to be mined gets half, right?
Yeah.
Right. Over the last 12 years, whenever that was happening, was there any resistance? Was there any changes in the system? Or has it gone through smoothly enough? Because it's got a built-in halving mechanism.
Yeah. It's always been very smooth. The halving has kept happening. And the flip has happened after the halving. It typically goes up after that. Yeah. So it has been, it's like a clockwork. It's happening there. I mean, there is no disturbance at all. I mean, I'm so for a guy. So I'll tell you something. in 70s, a Lakpati was, Lakpati is something. There used to be a Lakshadikari was something. And there, I know a lot of families who started paying this 1,000 rupees, or maybe 1,500, 2,000, so that by 1995 or 2000, they can marry off this with their lakh of rupees. The life insurance scam that was going on, or all these things. They put in at 25 years later, what was that lakh rupees? They couldn't even bloody book a hall for the marriage. And they thought they will give her a dowry, they will buy the scooter or a car and then send off the daughter.
Yeah.
No, so what did the government do? They just took it away. So, so I think Bitcoin is a kind of check on government behaving, they know that people will actually switch off, switch on to some currency because they have an alternative now. So gold was killed by the other governments, I feel, but I think Bitcoin is kind of a check on the government that you don't mess with it. And one thing funny about it is only by investigating Bitcoin that you come to know the nature of money. Otherwise, you actually are. I was like 99.99% of the population. I didn't know what money was. I was thinking the government prints the money, and everything is hidden from us. Economic books, economics textbooks don't tell us that money is effort or anything like that. They say it is, they say gold, of course, but it's very, I think Bitcoin is a fantastic concept. I don't know if you want to invest or not is a different thing. And, probably when you come to that stock to flow ratio something, and we can discuss on that. Yeah.
Sure. I'll put that up once again. So I guess the next question is kind of along the lines of Ashok around volatility, right? So
it went as high as $65,000. I think it's not showing, but went as high as $65,000.
Yeah.
Now it's around $30,000.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, Ashok, how can money work? Nassim Taleb, one of my heroes, the huge hero. I'm a huge fan of Nassim Taleb. He says, how can something so volatile ever be money? You need, how can I price something in, so volatile that it's losing 50% of its value in money? So before actually coming to the money, by the way, Bitcoin is not claiming to be money now. So, we talk about multiple stages where it goes as store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account. So there are multiple stages. Initially, it is only a collectible, then store of value, then medium of exchange, and finally a unit of account. So this is nowhere near money. But the point here, the one thing I want you to observe is that this is not the major fall for it. It has destroyed its value 99% once in very early in life. As recently as 2017, it went to $20,000, and the price fell all the way to $3,000. It lost 85% of its value. One interesting point there is, do you know how many of the people who are holding Bitcoin sold between $2,000 and $3,000, $20,000 and $3,000? It's a question I want to answer. How many percentage of the Bitcoin holders would have sold it? So 10%, 20%. How many percentage 40%? Of Bitcoin holders would have sold their Bitcoin when the Bitcoin price fell from 20,000 to 3,000? Did 10% of the guy, 50% of the guys sell, 80% of the guys sell, or 100% of the guys sold? So how much did the hands change?
70%
sold. Okay, I think that's a good estimate.
5%.
Sorry?
5%, Ashok.
Only 5% sold, you say? From 20 to 50. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, 40%.
Yeah. So, the fact is that 85% of the people held on to their Bitcoins. So these they are called hodlers in Bitcoinese. One of the guys spelled hold. I'm going to hold Bitcoin forever. Instead of hold, he spelled it hodl, HODL, and so that became a hodler. That people started using that I'm a hodler kind of thing. So 85% of the Bitcoins never moved their addresses in the crash of about 85%. Yeah, you were closest. 5% is fantastic. Yeah. Where is my Bitcoin? He's saying, yeah. So yeah, that's right. So I think if you have these kind of fanatics this share price, Bitcoin price may fall down, but I think eventually, and Warren Buffett has famously called it rat poison. I mean, he's my ultimate guru, value investor guru, and he's called it rat poison. But we disagree at that point. And Nassim Taleb has called it as bullshit. Its value is zero. Nassim Taleb has called the value of Bitcoin is zero. So you'll have to. So it's very varied, and I think there are risks inherent. And one of the biggest risks in Bitcoin is the ability to store is a very, very challenging thing. Please never ever store it on a stock exchange. You never store Bitcoin on a stock exchange. You take it out of, buy it in the stock exchange, move it to your private keys, and that's a lot of learning curve. It's not simple. So this challenging. So people will have to learn that before actually buying the Bitcoin. I don't know. I think going everywhere. So any questions? I'm open for that.
Ashok, primarily, I just want to broach from your first statement, which is money is effort.
Yeah.
But as you know, will increase the time frame and your skill sets will improve, which will automatically increase the cost of production. So cost of production is a direct linkage with the skill set that a person is acquiring over a period of time.
Yeah.
So if money is getting inflated, that means the inflation is added to the skill set which is supposed to be paid. Eventually, you also said that money getting printed more and more eventually led to the fall of the
value of money, yeah,
or of the value of the
purchasing power. You are right, absolutely.
In that scenario, Bitcoin, if it keeps increasing without any underlying asset is there is it is dependent purely on demand and supply. Suppose a plot of land is traded just because I like it, 100 crores you say, or the way it has been projected by some politicians, I produce 100 crores of plantation in 10 acre of land. So like this, anything can happen without any underlying corrections. So I would like to agree that unless we have boundaries to the exchange and trading, how do you say that it is inflation free or it is a best alternative to the inflation?
So one thing I'm saying is when we're talking about inflation, can any power inflate the supply of Bitcoin? There is no question. There's no question of supplying inflation being there. But as per to in fiat currency, will its value fluctuate? I think it may fluctuate. I don't know. Will it come to $20,000? Maybe it can come. Will it go to $100,000? There are different estimates. Michael Saylor says it's a $15 million asset. And he says, and when people ask, when are you going to sell it? He says, never. So, so I think most of the Bitcoiners are absolute believers like that they will never sell. And, I think it's more like a piece of art. MF Hussain, I would never buy even for 5 rupees, but people are buying for crores of rupees. They see some value in that for whatever God forsaken reason. But there are Bitcoin guys who believe 30,000 is the deal of the century. So, I think, so that's my point. The inflation is not the Bitcoin, it cannot be inflated. That's the biggest plus point, and nobody has control over it. That's the best point, yeah. I hope I answered your question, yeah? Did I?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting a feel of, I'll wait for the further discussion so that I can...
Okay, yeah, please, if you do come back to me if you feel that I can answer something else, yeah.
So, sorry, I had some internet issue. So, Ashok, do you want to spend a minute on that one page talking about the Bitcoin valuation?
So I don't. Just go to that page. Especially, I just want to share or talk about the stock to flow ratio. I don't know how many. So very, very briefly, I'll talk about that.
Sure.
So, Ashok, while Suresh is trying to put up that, so you seem to be like a Bitcoin fanatic, right?
Yeah. I think it is especially.
So let me finish my comment, Ashok.
Sorry.
So no. I mean, so you are very passionate about it, and you are not letting any criticism come closer to Bitcoin world, right? You are that passionate. So if you remove that biases of yours towards Bitcoin, and if you were to give someone an unbiased view or opinion about Bitcoin, how would you explain it? How would you put it in a very dispassionate manner. Because so far what I heard is a very passionate pitch for Bitcoin to be the universal currency, or because it doesn't have the inflation, whatever. But in the world in which we are living in, right? It might not be that feasible, right? So how would you vis-a-vis?
Yeah, if you if you minus my religious fervor out of it, what does Bitcoin mean? You are saying, yeah. So I would say
Absolutely.
that, so I would my whole point is that we should actually challenge the government by saying that, listen, we stop printing money. You're already taking taxes, reduce the taxes. If we just go back a little philosophically, I was saying that if this is the money supply, these are the goods, it is 1:1 ratio. When you increase the money supply, what happens? Inflation happens. How can you control the inflation? My question to you is, how can you control the inflation? Anybody?
You have to raise interest rates.
No. I mean, then the money supply. But when the money is going in supply, if they keep increasing, they can't keep the money interest rate high because money is available cheap.
Move to Japan, it will go deflation.
No, on a serious note, Ashok, inflation can only be curtailed as long as the prices do not move off. The price of services, price of products. That means if I'm earning 10,000 rupees today, I need to earn 10,000 rupees forever, as long as I live. So that's the best way to control inflation, if you ask me.
No, but if you earn your 10,000 10 years from now, you will not be able to buy anything with the 10,000.
Yeah, you asked how do we control the inflation? The only way to control inflation is to cut down the prices and keep the prices stagnant.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is keep the money supply stagnant. The government is not willing to do that. They want to keep printing money and give it to everybody, all the big shots, the top business houses. Yeah. They're not going to keep it. They want to give it to doles, free welfare state, everything they want to give. So now, so my question is this: my answer. I mean, so I have to come to my answer actually. What I think is the easiest way to control inflation is to increase the supply of goods and services to match the increase in currency. And for almost 70 years, we had this permit raj where the government was saying, we will not let you increase the supply of goods and services because you don't have license, you don't have this. And even now, you have the PF, ESI, all these guys who always challenge you, how will you increase your goods and services? So this is the easiest way to control. Just let the entrepreneurs alone. Let them do their business. If they do something damn harming somebody or some environment, go after them like criminals. But leave them damn alone. And they will take control of your country. Then you keep printing money. There will be no inflation. So, sorry, I'm just coming to that. To my question, if I were to minus my religious fervor, I would say, because there is inflation happening, don't keep your money in money. Keep it in something that the supply cannot be inflated. What is that whose supply cannot be inflated in this world?
Land, of course.
Exactly. The government can't make any land, except in Singapore, who keep reclaiming the sea forever. Most of the places you can't make land, right?
Yeah.
So there is a place to invest. And when we talk about the fifth one, the stock to flow ratio, this is a very, very powerful concept for investment. It's a framework for investment. What stock to flow ratio means is this. Number one, what is stock? Stock is something that's available in the world at one point in time. Today, if you have so many tons of gold, that's the stock. And what is flow? Flow is the addition in terms of percentage every year to that stock. And sorry, every year. Suppose, for example, I have let us say maybe about 10,000 tons of gold, and every year I add 2% to that. So that is about 200 tons of gold. So the 100 divided by 2%, that is giving me 50. It takes 50 years. So at 2%, it will take 50 years to double that stock. So the stock to flow ratio is 50. Some for some metal like copper, it may be 1, because every year whatever copper is produced is consumed by the industry, and next year they produce as much as stock that's available. The only thing that has almost infinite stock to flow ratio is land. So that's the dumbest investment you can do in this world and make tons of money is land. It's the dumbest investment. And the most foolish thing is running industry and, like entrepreneurs like us, idiots like us, who have to face the government, so many controls and all that. But we want to have fun, so we do that. We're masochists, so, we love pain, so we do that. So that's also all right. But the easiest way to make money is try to apply the stock to flow ratio where the flow is infinite. That's the easiest way. So Bitcoin is another thing that comes, but it is very, very hard to manage. The stock exchanges keep getting hacked and all that. So, so it is a difficult thing. So if you minus my religious fervor, just look at the stock to flow ratio and invest where, the ability to replenish takes longest time. I don't know whether I'm answering your question. I'm going off the tangent.
Ashok, but you just contradicted your point when you said leave the entrepreneurs alone, let them improve the production, and you say now we need to create a scarcity value for a product to really improve upon in terms of value. So I just didn't get that correctly as to how exactly you are
No. Listen. The thing is, the goods and services are different. What I'm saying is there should be a cost to, when we talk about money, there should be a cost to produce it. It cannot be free. What I'm saying is goods and services, we should create as much as possible. That's what the productivity gains and production gains are there. Only when this happens, the money supply can be increased by the government. That is different from money itself. If they keep, what is the government doing? They're printing money. And they're not allowing us to produce goods. That is a dangerous situation. I'm saying don't print money. But what I'm saying is, if I'm retired today, I'm at 60 years and I have I'm not going to work for another 20 years. Will my interest money sustain me for the 20 years? It won't. Because why? Because value of money will keep going down. That is not acceptable. My money's value today should be there 20 years from now. Better yet, it should increase in purchasing power.
But Ashok, when you have a situation like COVID, and if the money is not printed, the argument given is that we'll have the next Great Depression, right? If you're not able to support the collapse of the markets and the lack of liquidity in the markets, if that happens, then the whole system breaks and it will take 10 years for it to come back. Do you want to take the pain of the 10 years or do you want to print the money?
I sincerely believe that we should take the pain of in the short term, because we are just, what we are doing is on the surface, what we are getting a rash, we are applying some balm on it. It's cancer actually. You have to go through the pain and come over the actual reality. By the way, I am a beneficiary of the printing of money because government cleared all my debt. So, I'm a beneficiary of that, printing money. So, but the reality is we have to be honest about it. When government prints money, there's a lot of evil associated with it. There are a lot of side effects. It's a longer conversation, but I would say that government should be very, very disciplined as far as money is printing is concerned.
How do we bring volatility down in the Bitcoin?
So it will happen once it reaches 15 million. I think it will no longer be volatile.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I go?
Hi, Raghu. Go ahead.
Now, initially 10-15 minutes I missed, but I mean today I think at least last a decade or so. I mean Uber, billion-dollar companies and all of that. I mean, say somebody is putting a real effort, real economic activity is not getting value, but the technology and the layer, marketplace are getting value. In light of that, I mean, this is also maybe another revenue. I mean, sitting at my home, whatever savings I have, I put here, it is growing, appreciating. I mean, who will work?
So that is the biggest problem. I mean, I completely agree with that. I think people who are just putting in cryptocurrencies and earning money, they are parasites. I do believe in that. If you're not creating money and then you're not creating wealth, you're not creating goods and services, and with you on that. If people who just, I mean, the similar thing is, buying real estate. What has happened? You have taken money from farmer 1 acre at 1 lakh rupees, and government has printed so much of money to it, it's worth 30 crores. And what do you think that the farmer is going to sit quiet? He's going to come and say, boss, give me my land back. He's going to come and fight. I'm not saying whether it is ethical or not. Just imagine, because this guy didn't know the stock to flow concept. He gave it away to a guy who said, it was 5,000, 1 lakh is a good amount. Somebody, the entrepreneur sent, and this real estate investor sent and told, make him sell it. He sold the poor guy.
Yeah. The follow-up question, and the land, what you are saying for the land, stock to flow works. Therefore, one should invest land. I mean, I don't know whether that assumption continues to hold good.
One thing is, it will be true in the short term. You may take a hit in 2009. You may have taken a hit, and it is till 2014 you didn't recover from that. But as long as government performs predictably, keeps printing money, especially in countries with growing populations like India, the land values have to keep increasing. And if the government is printing money, the print money supplies, and this is asset inflation. First, listen, try to understand. This is asset inflation that is happening. Even though I think I'm a genius that I bought land and the land value has gone up, it is nothing but there is so much of money, people don't know what to do with this money and they keep in land.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're buying an apartment as an investment, you are an idiot, because vertically there can be an unlimited amount of supply. Stock to flow ratio is infinite. I mean, you can create as many vertically, you can create as many apartments as you want.
I mean, just sorry. I mean, even the land, with the alternative use, better outcomes, better, practices, your greenhouses and all of that. I mean, still you need so much of land for producing, what was traditionally. I mean, even that is changing. I don't know.
No, I do agree that, but the fact is that, again, culturally, we are so attached to land as Indians. I mean, so I think, so these points are there where the efficiencies are increasing. Why would you need land, kind of thing? But, we are suckers for land here in India. And it's easy way to make money also. Yeah.
So coming to the question, Ashok, the topic of the session, would you buy Bitcoin at these prices?
No comments.
No comments.
And if you haven't guessed by now,
yeah.
So Suresh, we want real answers. Easy saying we should go and buy or not. That's what we want.
We want you to analyze, Raghu. We're not here to tell you what to do. You have to analyze your own thing.
Even though I won't say whether I should buy it or not, I do believe that for every one child that you have, you should have one Bitcoin for them. If you don't want to take that much of risk, then one per family at least you should have.
So coming to the question about the whole concept of the struggle between the regulations and the centralized way to control currencies and finance, and given your interest, Ashok, in political systems and so on, which is one of your passion areas, how do you see this evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? Forget about what it is today. Do you see the governments coming together to make either it's Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency work? Or do you think somebody like China will dominate and dictate and give their own currency, crypto, digital currency, whatever, and ban everything else and create, again, hubs of activity? Or you think there is a global currency possible?
CB is about the central bank digital currency, CBDC, that they're calling, will be the most authoritarian tool ever established in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
What will happen is, if they really come to, and I think they will come in, every country will do it. They will say what currency can be spent on what, when they have to spend it, how they have to spend it, why they have to spend it. It will all be controlled by central banks. You will lose your freedom eventually with CBDC. So I think they are the exact anathema to sovereign individuals, the anathema to freedom, individual freedom, and it's the exact opposite of what Bitcoin is trying to achieve. So somebody says CBDCs is going to kill Bitcoin, they have no clue what they're saying. CBDCs will bring increased amount of control into individuals' lives, and it should be resisted against, not welcomed at all.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Ashok, what I was saying was there is an enormous interest in this whole space, right? About 1.5 million Bitcoin, I guess, users or purchasers or trading that's happening within India alone, right?
Mm.
So even when I speak to people, it just seems like there is a fight to say we have to decentralize. The whole concept of decentralization, will that create a movement enough to topple the centralized regulation is the question, right?
No, I don't think. I think the government is too powerful for that. I don't think they can really topple or anything. But government, I would say the smarter governments will co-opt the thing and try to regulate them and live with it, rather than and be disciplined at the same time. They will not print too much of money. It's all, if that is achieved, I think Bitcoin has achieved its goal. I think that's fantastic. But some things like China may really go after Bitcoin because they think that they can do it. But I think Bitcoin is too big for any country or any individual to destroy at this point in time.
If Bitcoin is more successful, is US dollar the biggest loser?
I don't know. I mean, what will be the alter? So if I mean, it's okay, guys. If somebody wants to really read about Bitcoin, this is the ultimate book. This is a friend of mine who has written. His name is Saifuddin. So Bitcoin Standard. I recommend it very, very strongly. And so he says in this Bitcoin Standard, he says that this Bitcoin will become a global reserve currency.
Yeah,
it is going to destroy everything else, the US dollar and all the currencies. So I think it's a very extraordinary. But this is all about the money that I have got. Even though we don't use the same word, there's a lot of Bitcoin. Almost 80% of this is about money. So I would very strongly recommend it. And he says that he feels that there is no other money that can that is as good as Bitcoin. And so he says that it will change. But I think US dollar, I think US dollar is in trouble, but I think they will come out because they have this diplomacy cause destroyer ships and all that. There are a lot of weapons they have. But I think the US dollar will continue for some time to come. I think it will not be displaced.
We are on top of 9 o'clock now, right?
Yeah, okay.
So we'll take last 2 or 3 questions from anybody who wants to ask. Okay, looks like you've answered all the questions, Ashok.
yeah. They don't want to talk anything bad about Bitcoin. This religious fanatic will do something.
Sure. So can I request either Vamsi or Pragnya to share about some of the upcoming events, Pragnya or Vamsi?
Sure, sir. In a minute.
So on July 5th at 7 p.m., as part of the leadership series, we'll have Dinesh Dameja as a kind of like a roadshow towards our sustainability conference. He's a serial entrepreneur, sustainability leader, charter member of TIE UK. I think he'll be a great conversation with Murli on the whole concept of sustainability and how to build a business in sustainable manner.
Suresh, his latest passion is sustainability.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's one of the first Indian.
Murli, you're on mute. I think he was trying to say that he's a first Indian politician, UK MP.
Almost close to $500 million by selling his online travel company. So it is a very exciting story. So sustainability is his latest passion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anything else, Pragnya? Vamsi? So meet the mentor sessions. This is from a Tuesday's mentor session for the associate members too. Please do join. I think it's on Tuesday, the July 6th at 4 p.m. Yeah, I think this is the kickoff meeting from a mentorship perspective for the associate members. I think, as most people know, associate members have grown from almost 100 to about 180 now. So we're definitely doing more activities around the associate member activities. Yeah. So thank you. So Ashok, I want to sincerely thank you. And if I have to think about the 4 or 5 key points that I have learned today from you is from the Indian ecosystem perspective, we should be more focused on design and research, not necessarily only on made in India, number one. Number two, you said money should be a reflection of the effort it takes to use those resources to convert into a useful product or a service, right? So that effort, I guess, is an important concept. And you were talking about the government as a whole kind of using inflation to steal money in some sense from its own citizens, right? It's a tool to steal money, and inflation is created by printing money without, I guess, being in alignment with the resources of the country that is producing, right? So when there is a difference between the two, inflation creeps in, and that's like an inflation theft of money. And your other key point was Bitcoin, decentralized finance, and anything and around the whole blockchain is actually a good check on the government. If the government stopped printing, that itself is a great achievement for the Bitcoin and the blockchain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, really thank you. Great conversation, and appreciate everyone's time in joining this. Hopefully it was a very interesting and great enlightenment for people to know what money really is. Yeah? Thank you, Ashok.
Thank you, everybody, guys. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Closing
guys.
the call now.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.